Hi everyone, happy Saturday. Just got back from Rampage a couple of hours ago, and I was looking forward to this film. I'm a big fan of The Rock. I didn't realize that Malin Ackerman was in it, but big fan of hers as well. She's on Billions now. So the film follows the video game from the 80s, which is why I really wanted to see it. It's got big monsters in it, so beating up a city, and the special effects, I gotta say the special effects were really good. They really, because they could have been really cheesy if they downgraded in the effects department. So, I mean, there was a lot of, the creatures had hair and scales and all this other stuff, and they rippled as they walked, their skin and stuff like that. So, definitely a great job there. So the storyline is, if you saw the trailer, Dwayne Johnson is a caretaker of a zoo and has an albino gorilla as a friend, and he takes care of the gorilla, and it's almost like vice versa because they have that kind of friendship. And the gorilla finds something that falls out of the sky, and it basically imbues him with these powers that make him grow, make him super strong, make him resilient to bullets and all this other stuff. So, and he wasn't the only one. There are other creatures out there as well, and they start rampaging the city. So that's the basic storyline, and I'll get into spoilers after. But yeah, so that's they really tried to put some character development in to give them some kind of a backstory and things like that. But there's some stuff I just didn't buy. So though the film wasn't bad, I wouldn't say it was good either. It reminded me of a Transformers film where, there was a lot to enjoy while you're sitting there, but when you leave it's just like, so that's how I kind of felt like by Rampage. A lot of good stuff in there, but nothing of any substance. So it accomplished what it set out to do, and it was exactly what I thought it would be. My expectations for it were equal. So the storyline for Dwayne Johnson is that, he was a special services, or, so it's like, of course, he's ex-military working in a zoo. So, right off the bat, I'm just like, really? You had to make him, special forces because he needs to be able to fly helicopters and stuff like that, and be able to fire weapons, and so he's not just a regular zoologist. So, stuff like that, I was just like, But I said, overall, the acting, everybody took it very, very seriously, which is great. And there was people in it that I didn't know was going to be in it. Like, I didn't know Malin Ackerman was going to be in it. Well, she looks great with dark hair, by the way, because normally she has blonde hair. I did see her in New York walking down the street, and she is taller than I thought she was, so she's actually pretty tall. I'm going to butcher this name, but it's the guy who is going to play Deathstroke in the DC movies, which apparently I don't think that's going to happen anymore, but he was also from True Blood. Joe Manganiello. I'm sure I totally screwed that up, but he's in it. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, obviously, he was originally, I first started seeing him at Supernatural. He played the dad in Supernatural. He played the comedian in Watchmen. And, of course, he's in Walking Dead now. But he's always good, and he always steals the show. He kind of played the part a little bit the way he inflects in Walking Dead. He kind of almost played that here, but he did like a little bit of a twang to it. So he made himself a cowboy. But I think he stole every time he was on in screen. He was great. He just kind of stole the show. Naomi Harris, who played Moneypenny. She's also on she played Moneypenny in Bond. So she was good. Everybody took their role very seriously. And then the girl in the very beginning, who was in again, I won't do any spoilers, but she's in a spaceship in the beginning. Marley Shelton, and she's the one in Rise on the TV show right now. And even her in the beginning, she did really an amazing job. I thought it really kicked off the film with a high level of acting that she pulled out. So again, you know, so without going into spoilers, because I'll do that in a few. It's basically, like I said, a Transformers movie, or even now, you know, a Pacific Rim type of film, except that there was no robots. I kept waiting for the big robot to come in. So the plot line is very, very thin, and it's just any excuse. They tried to piece the things together, which was very obvious that they tried to piece things together to make the ending, to get the monsters into the city. That was the plot. The plot pieces were to get the monsters into the city, and it was so obvious that it was contrived to do that. So anyway, so if I was going to score this on a 1 to 10, you know, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, it's a little bit above average. So I'm going to give it probably a 6 to a 6.5. And I like these kind of films. I like these action films. But again, I like them with a little bit of substance. You know, like Ready Player One. I thought had, you know, had substance to it, and had really rich characters and stuff like that. Where this wasn't. It was more, the humans were the backdrop for the monsters. So the character that had the most personality was the big ape. The CG ape probably had more personality than any of the other characters. Malin Ackerman as the villain, because she's the villain. Again, I like Malin Ackerman. I thought her acting was decent. But you know how Charlize Theron plays the very uppity, in-control villain? And Malin Ackerman tried to do this, to be the bitchy type of villain. And I don't think she pulled it off. You know, so, and again, I'm going to bring up something else that happened between her and Dwayne Johnson that, for me, kind of ruined the film. But I'll bring that up in spoilers, because I don't want to bring that up now. So, as far as if you're bringing children, just so you know, because there was some kids in the film with me, they say shit through the whole movie. They say shit through the whole movie. Which, you know, I guess if, you know, you're in this kind of situation where you're in a life and death thing and you have a big monster coming at you, what else would you say? So they didn't rein that back in. You know, there's some innuendos and stuff like that, especially something the monster, the gorilla does at the end. But as long as you know that you tell the kids up front that, hello, you're gonna hear, you know, the S word through the whole thing. Just, you better not say it. I guess it'd be all right. But just so you know ahead of time that there is curse words through the whole thing. It doesn't go any further than that. It's just purely that word. Oh, and the word asshole. Assholes through the whole thing too. That's like the running joke between Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Dwayne Johnson through the whole thing. But anyway, I'm going to jump into spoilers, but again, it's just slightly higher than average. Now, as far as going to see it in a theater, if you like the monster battle type of stuff, then it would be better to see it in a big screen, because the action and, again, the special effects, and I think this is going to really delve more towards male audience than female. There really isn't, and I'm going to be obviously a little bit chauvinistic there. I'm not talking about, the geek girls and stuff like that that like the same stuff as guys do. But if your girlfriend or wife is more of a I need love in my films and stuff like that, they're probably not going to find anything here for them. If they just like cool monster battles, then great. Where can I find a woman like that? Anyway, I'll go into spoilers right now, but that's my general thoughts on Rampage. All right, so hang on. I'm going to switch gears and we'll go into spoilers. Okay, how we doing? So now we're going into spoilers. So I just kind of want to talk about the actors first. So, because it just kind of cracked me up that some of these actors that were recognizable and had tons of credits were only in the film a very, very short amount of time. So, now the more specific storyline is that this corporation created this serum to try to, I don't know if they were trying to do a super soldier serum or whatever they were trying to do, but they couldn't really test it on the planet Earth, so they put it into space. So they were testing it in space, and in the very beginning they had the female doctor. Obviously the space station's all destroyed and everybody's dead. You see like arms floating and stuff like that, and we find out there's a big giant rat running around, and she's the last one left, and they won't even let her out until she gets the serum or the whatever the concoction was that they called it. They called it the Rampage serum or whatever they called it. Project Rampage. So anyway, that was where Marley Shelton was, and I thought the beginning was great. I thought the beginning was almost the best part of the movie because it was a little bit scary. Part of the jungle was pretty good too, though. But the beginning was great. So she gets out, but the rat had hit the glass enough that when she actually escaped, the whole pot exploded because the glass broke. So then we find out later that, even though she had him in a case, the individual canisters were meant to withstand re-entry into Earth's orbit. So anyway, I thought the beginning was really good, and then we go into the characterization of George the gorilla, which I thought was okay. The relationship between him and Dwayne Johnson, I thought was good. But again, it's just purely, we all know it's just purely a setup to go into the battle at the end. So with the wolf and everything else. Joe Manganiello, however you say his name. And I'm Italian too, so I should know, but damn that name. Manganiello, something like that. But anyway, the guy from True Blood. I was shocked about how small his role is. When I saw him in there, I was like, oh wow, so we're going to have him as, the guy on the ground that's going to be, the military guy that Dwayne Johnson was kind of getting in his way kind of thing, which ended up being more Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character. But anyway, so that's what I originally thought when I saw him there. And then we had that whole battle in the jungle, and he has one scene. Basically two, I guess, if you count the helicopter. And he was dead, 5-10 minutes, he was gone. So I was shocked about that, and kind of disappointed as well. Will Yun Lee, he's another one. He's from Altered Carbon and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, so he plays the FBI guy that comes in to collect the drives from the corporation, from Malin Ackerman, and he had one scene, and you know he's another one that's done you know, a bunch of stuff. So anyway, that's my big the plot hole, and I hate when films do this. The only film that really did it well, I thought, was Die Hard. You know, where Bruce Willis's character was just totally fucked up. He was beat up, stepping on glass, and everything else, and he showed it. I mean, the guy could barely move. So here we have, they break into, I forgot the name of the corporation, InGen, or with something to do with genetics, and they're confronted by Malin Ackerman and her brother. And her brother's just more of a weasel, and Malin Ackerman is, of course, the big sister who is ruthless. So she shoots Dwayne Johnson. I mean, she shoots him. So through the last third of the film, pretty much the third act, he's got a bullet in him. So he's like, well, I guess it didn't hit any major organs, but you got a bullet in you. Because I looked for an exit wound. You know, so at least if he had an exit wound, but he had no blood on his back. He had his blood on the back of his head, but not on the back of his side. So the bullet was lodged in him. So I can see, again, if the bullet had gone straight through, so there was an exit wound, and then they were able to cauterize it, her being, you know, a scientist or whatever else, she could have cauterized it. I would have bought that more than having a bullet in him and him doing all action scenes for the rest of the film with a bullet. I mean, he almost ignored it completely. And I don't know if that was him or the director, or because he has a lot more control now because he's Dwayne Johnson. But for me, that kind of ruined the film. They're no longer the suspension of disbelief for me. So it kind of jumped the shark. It was already a film that pushed the limits of your imagination, and then it jumped the shark on top of that. So I was really disappointed with whoever made that decision for her to shoot him. If she had just instead done a warning shot, or she went to shoot and he bum rushed her, or or whatever, I would have felt better about the film. But that just ruined it for me. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I don't understand that. So also, Dwayne Johnson's last name in the movie, his name is Davis Okoye. That's not a name that sticks in your head, but yet everybody said Mr. Okoye. I mean, even the general, whoever that he meets with later, has no problem remembering his name. I couldn't remember his name from the beginning of the movie on. And they said it 3 times. So I thought that was very strange too. I know there's all little nitpick stuff, but well, I don't think the bullet hole is a nitpick. But anyway, so of course at the end, George doesn't die, and he's helping people get out of the building and stuff like that. And that's where they have, you know, the lewd finger in the whole thing that he says, "Oh no, not like that." And that was kind of odd. I gotta say, that was kind of odd to throw that in. Somebody thought it was funny, but it was odd. And also the George giving him the finger in the beginning and stuff like that. I guess it was funny once, but multiple times, not really. So anyway, I thought there was some odd choices in this film, but overall, you know, it was enjoyable. It was entertaining. But there was just certain things I just couldn't get over. You know, Malin Ackerman's death at the end. All right, we wanted to see her get chomped. But to have George do it, I thought was kind of odd too. To have George, I guess they were trying to do King Kong kind of thing where he grabbed her. It would have been better if it was the wolf that had killed her. I don't know. I'm not, actually, obviously the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm disliking parts of it. You know, I did like when George changed onto their side. That was the other thing too. I must have missed it, although I did not leave the theater. I never saw them give him the antidote. He was, you know, trying to destroy the transmitter, and I guess they gave it to him then, but I never saw it. So, all right. So I'm gonna finish up with that thought. But again, let's do some comments about what you thought of it, and if I'm just being a little too nitpicky. Plus, if you guys do Movie Pass, if anybody's on a Movie Pass, it's now making you take a picture of your ticket. If anybody knows why, leave it in the comments below, as I don't know how that changes the fraud thing, unless I don't know how that works. Unless they feel like they're getting overcharged by the theaters for people actually not going. I don't know. It's very strange. But anyway, have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Actually, I'm going to do comics. I'm going to do comics of the week, middle of the week this week. So watch out for that. All right? And subscribe to my channel. Talk to you soon.